أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، له النعمة وله الفضل وله الثناء الحسن. صلوات الله البر الرحيم والملائكة المقربين على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. الله تعالى أسأله أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجه الله الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. The peace and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you all. I start in the name of Allah. I praise Allah and I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the bounties that He has bestowed upon us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humbly to raise the rank of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his kind early, his companions and all those who follow him ila yawmiddin. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this task easy for us, and we ask Allah to grant us the sincere intentions. I will do a 5-minute recap inshallah, and then we will get into more of our practical stuff that we are supposed to be going on. Okay, none of that. Ijaza, Isnad, that's continuously mentioned in all of the courses, and how important the concept of a teacher is. Then we spoke about one of the ways of recitation of the Holy Qur'an. We know there are 10 tawatur, meaning 10 completely affirmed, authentic ways of reciting the Holy Qur'an, all in which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam permitted. These 10 qira'at, these 10 recitations, they were narrated by 2 students. Well, the most famous of the narrations were narrated by 2 students. Okay, so in each of the 10 we've got 2 riwayah, 2 narrations. This allows for 20 ways of reciting the Holy Qur'an, and inside those there are more ways of reciting each of the 20 narrations that we do find. Then we spoke a little bit about the recitation that we will work on. We will work on Hafs, the recitation of Al-Imam Hafs, and we said his chain of narration starts by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who taught 5 different Sahaba. Okay, I mean he taught many Sahaba, but in this chain there were 5 Sahaba. Then there were the followers. There was Abu Abdurrahman as-Sulami, there was Zayd bin Hubaysh, and there was Abu Amr al-Shaybani. Okay, they taught Asim ibn Najud. Asim was from Al-Kufa, present day Iraq, and Al-Imam Asim was also the teacher of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man. Then we find we have Abu Amr Hafs bin Sulaiman ibn al-Mughira al-Asadi al-Kufi, from the place of Al-Kufa as well. And that's the famous recitation that 90% of the world recite the Holy Qur'an according to. Okay, we spoke about the definition of ilm al-Tajweed. That's the only thing I'll really go over. Definition: to recite every letter from the correct articulation point with its characteristics. Then we spoke about the legal status. We said the application of ilm al-Tajweed is fardun ayn, right? The application, meaning every person who has memorized a part of the Holy Qur'an, they should learn ilm al-Tajweed, or not learn it, but they should apply it to the Holy Qur'an. The theoretical part we said is fard kifaya, meaning some of the Muslim community must know it. Okay, another time, right. Then we came to the Arabic alphabet. Okay, do you have one of this? No. Just pass this on quickly. Right. So in here, I think we looked at the first few letters of al-huruf al-hijaiyya, and then because some of us in the class are also new, or relatively new with the alphabet, and we said every person must know the alphabet properly in order to succeed, because he who does not master the basics is forbidden from achieving. And we spoke a little bit about those properties. Okay, so before I continue, we're going to go over a little bit of the names again of the alphabets, and then we're going to apply that basic properties that we learned in terms of the Fatha, Kasra and Dhamma. Okay, fine. Okay, the first letter that we have here, you can also follow in your page for the names, is Alif. Can we all say Alif again? Alif. Alif. Again, Alif. 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 Right, I was also asked to just explain one thing. Quite often in the class I will ask you questions, and often these are questions I give you the answers to just prior to asking the question. Now it may seem trivial or the like that I just told you now and I want to ask. The reason for this is it's tikrar, this style of repetition. It helps not only me but also the students in the class. It helps me to actually think, okay, what did I just say now? Okay, in a sense. Secondly, it also helps in anything. This repetition There's a famous statement, but I don't want to give you the statement today because then some people might just feel offended in a way. I'll tell you guys again, inshallah, as we achieve this process. Okay? Now, this is al-alif. We said a is from a certain place in the mouth, and I'm going to come to articulations in a certain time, inshallah. Before I continue, just a little bit about the alif. The alif is a letter that does not actually carry a vowel. In other words, I don't put fatha, kasra or dhamma on the alif. Okay? The moment I put one of those on the alif, it becomes a, e or u, the sound that alif and one of these will make. But it will no longer be alif, it will be hamza. Okay? It would be hamza. This is a clear distinction between hamza and alif. Hamza does not, hamza carries a vowel, alif does not carry a vowel. The purpose of al-alif is, if I take for example meme with fatha and I add on alif, I get, what do I get? Ma. Add alif, it becomes ma. Okay, so that is the purpose of the alif essentially. Righto. Then we looked at ba, ta and tha. Examples was like baby, ba, ta, tomorrow. Okay, but the ta is a little bit tricky because it's got a very specific place that people often mess up. And then we spoke about a tha, for example, in the word throat. Okay, jeem in jag, but very flat. Ha and kha. Righto. Okay, the other letter I just want to focus on for today, the first one we spoke about this, it was dal. Can everybody just say dal? Dal. Okay, and dhal. Right, as in these, those and them. Okay, let's quickly start from alif and we'll go up until the alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal and dhal. Okay, there's something I found on the internet earlier today. It's some kind of pyramid, especially if we are new, and I also got to properly figure out this pyramid, but it looks like this. Okay, can everybody see this, if it's going below this thing as well? Okay, fa, and then we've got and this should be spaced out a little bit more, and then there is and wow, and also these related ones. So dad, qaf, lam and noon. Okay, can we all see that pyramid? Okay, the top letter is al-ha. Now ha has, okay, doesn't really look like a pyramid. Ha, ha is said in this pyramid or this scheme, it's supposed to like be the queen of the letters because it's got variations. It's got a lot of variations. It's got different forms in which ha is perfectly acceptable in which it writes. But that we will study later on. These letters, al-ta, they look like this almost all the time when they're joined in the middle, the beginning, etc. And all of these letters except this one here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the level 6, number 6 here, they are not joined to letters following them. Okay? And these ones here, they've got a distinct ending. In other words, there's a variation in the ending. The ya typically ends like that, usually, the way you see it. The meme ends like the way it's written, or like this. Okay? And the kaf, we will look at those ones again, inshallah. Ba, ta, tha, and fa. All of these letters, they do not have this baki. Okay? For example, if you look at the qaf, if a person looks at the qaf, you will find the following. If you look at qaf, this is a line. If you look at fa, that's fa, and if you look at qaf, That is Qaf. Do we see that? Okay. This is Qaf and this is Fa. Now all of the letters at the bottom, they've got this Baki. In other words, for Asad, it looks like that. Okay. Lam, it also has this Baki at the bottom. Okay, this is just for us to get used to the alphabet. Okay. And they take on letters before them and after them. These letters, if they take on letters after them, it only carries on with the first part. In other words, if for example there is Salma, for example we have, do we see the Sin? We see the Lam. Okay, so this has to be Lam because Alif cannot be joined to a letter afterwards, and so we drop the Baki in terms of its joining. Okay, these ones over here, when they're in the middle, they only carry the top piece. Okay, except with the Ain and the Ghain. This too has got a variation. And the Jim, the Ha and the Kha, Jim, Ha and Kha, when they end, they basically end like that, with a deep shaped curve going to the back. Okay, let's talk about Alif, Dal, Dal, Ra, Za and Waw. As we read and as we get used to this, we can go through it and try and just find ways of recognizing what the letters are. We will find that those letters are never joined afterwards, but inshallah I think I'll search for a summary of how this pyramid really works, which is a little bit clearer, then you guys can memorize it and things like that. It's also particularly useful if you want to teach the alphabet to a child or someone new to the language and like that, because it's got some techniques that are supposed to be easier. Okay, fine, righto. Okay, let's see, what are we supposed to cover in terms of the alphabet. Now quickly, just the last thing, on last week we spoke about this. This was called what? What were these things called? In English or in Arabic? In
Arabic.
No, in English or in Arabic.
No, vowels.
Those were called the vowels, right? These are vowels and these are harakat. The vowels give movement to the letters, mutaharrik. Okay, the opposite of voweled is non-voweled. In this case it would be letters that don't move, so mutaharrik and sakin. And then we spoke about the origin of these. I told you guys Khalil, I said Ahmed bin Khalil, I meant Al-Khalil bin Ahmed. It's a proper name, Khalil bin Ahmed. I said Ahmed bin Khalil in the last lecture, twice, I said it twice like that. It's Khalil bin Ahmed. We spoke about the origin of the Fatha, Kasra and Dhamma. What was the origin? Sheikh Nasir, Fatha. Where did it come from? Open. Okay? Mr. Uwais, please explain the process of how Khalil bin Ahmed looked at the opening and the Fatha, and what did he do? Who did he gather?
Whoever opened them out when they recited, then they asked them to write, put a line on top of it.
Okay, so they gathered the base of the Huffaz, they observed, and as they were there, Hafidh and another Hafidh, one sat with the script, the other one looked at him, and every time the mouth opened, he wrote down the Fatha. Every time the jaw lowered, he wrote down the Kasra. Every time there was a complete circle of the lips, they wrote down the Dhamma. Okay, so those are the origins of the letter. It's not A-E-O, it is not the sound that it makes, rather it is the formation of the mouth. Okay, we went over one example. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Correct or incorrect? In the Ra. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Right. Correct would be Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Understand? In terms of the formation. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It's not correct because my mouth has got a circle when it should have an opening because it's Fatha. Okay? Now, that is more or less what we covered in the last lesson with our intro here. Can everybody just together read up until the letter Dhal?